Hey everybody, it's Jenny, and I am back this week to share with you how I planned in my memory planner. I will link everything up that I used for you below. And I also would like to mention that if you enjoy this video, please leave me a thumbs up, maybe a quick comment as well. That really does help letting me know what you like to see and what I can create for you in the future. I've pre-printed my photos using the Epson PictureMate printer, and I have used the Pick Frame app to create the collage. It's just what I've been using for a really super long time. It works well for me. These photos are approximately 2 inches by 1.5 inches, and I just really like that scale of photo on this size of layout. Now I'm going to lay out my photos as they happened. I like to try to keep them on the day that they occurred, unless of course it's something arbitrary that doesn't really matter. So for example, a picture of my cat doing nothing particularly interesting, that can go anywhere during the week where that fits. Now you can see that I have several photos from each day, so I do tend to overlap them a little bit. Obviously, there's usually some blank space or some open space in photos, and so covering a corner of that in that blank space is really no big deal at all. So now that I have my design for my photos, like how I feel like they feel balanced, and all of that, I'm going to go ahead and adhere them down. I use the Scotch ATG gun. I really like this adhesive a lot. It's very, very sticky, and since these aren't in any page protectors or anything like that, I definitely want to make sure that they don't fall out, and not all adhesive is created equal. So once I've got those all adhered, then I like to admire my work for a moment and then pull out the embellishments that I think that I will use. So this week I am going to use some rub-ons. These are from 49 and Market, and they are so colorful and so cheerful, and I really do love them a lot. They're just really great to use, and one of the things that I really you did a lot this week and I found was just a lot of fun was layering of rub-ons. I do this all the time. This isn't a new thing. However, it just really struck me in this week's layout how well rub-ons work together. So you can see here, I'm going to put this splash down on the page. It looks great. It's super cute. It fits well in that spot. I like it a lot. Now, I can take that a step further and cut out some of these black rub-ons and layer them on top of the splash as well. So just the smaller text is going to layer on top of the word splash, and it adds an extra pop, it adds a little bit more depth, and just really makes that embellishment cluster a little bit beefier. I kind of love it, and it just fits really perfectly in between those pool photos. Now we have these big bursts and they're awesome. I love them so much. The colors are great, the image is great, every last bit of it. But I'm going to cut 1.5 because for the scale of this page and the space that I have left, nothing really works totally well in its entirety. So cutting it in half makes a lot of sense. So I'm just going to rub that down over in that sort of notes column and make sure that I've got all of the little bits and bobs because this is a distressed image, and so there's lots of different things hanging over, and I just want to make sure I got them all. So now, first of all, that looks amazing, but no need to stop there. I want to, again, layer right on top of that another word. And so there are these bright, colorful, really big words, and I'm going to use that one to pair with that part of the sunburst. So cute. I absolutely love that. And it just really like screams summer to me. It's so much fun. Now you can see that I absolutely overlapped this one as well, and they just work so beautifully together. And then there's no bulk, anything like that. So it's definitely not like stickers or obviously puffy stickers or chipboard or anything. You just can go on and it looks amazing. Now we're going to do the same layering over here. I'm going to add these little plumeria, yellow plumerias, and oh, they're so, so pretty. Do you see them down there? I love that little pop of color and just a really very pretty background. And then on top of it, I will add just the tiniest bit more text to make it a little bit more fun. And then I'm going to use this black word happy. I love how that looks right there. But then, I don't know, the happy is real cool, but let's add the splash over here too. Like, because then you can tie both pages together because the right hand side says splash and now the left hand side says splash too. It just is absolutely perfect, like pulling both of those pages together. And then it also keeps like one cluster like nice and huge and really like sort of the focal point of the layout, and then makes these a little bit more like supporting characters, if you will. I like that too. Now I'm going to go back through my regular planner. This is my Ride or Die, my A5 Hobonichi, and use that for adding the activities, the appointments, things like that, because then it keeps me able to add the details. So like, oh, the boat left at this time and the game was at this time. So I can get the absolute details. But then I can also like sort of, if it's a little bit further back, I can get some of the overall feel for the week as well. And that seems kind of silly, but like when you can see the whole week as an overview, it definitely makes a big difference. Now I have to be strategic where I add these boxes because I don't just put them down willy-nilly. I have to think about where am I going to also add some journaling and if I'm going to add any more decorations to the page as well. Like I do like to fill in most of the blank spots. I like the way that that looks. It makes it really pretty and full. And so I have to be cognizant of that as well though. Now, like I said already about dead space, there's absolutely always some dead space in photos. And so adding or overlapping other photos or other elements on top of space, like in that photo, for example, it's just black, it's just a black background. So it's not necessary to the story. So adding the sticker on top of it, just taking that corner, it brings it all together cohesively. You can absolutely tell that that sticker is related to that activity, but then, or that photo, I'm sorry, but then it also just takes away some of that empty space too. So I love making it a little bit more intentional and then also making it all fit together to make it feel like it goes together as well. Now look at that. Okay, so we've got this is the bulk of the layout. And if I had to stop, if I, couldn't add any more, this would be the important stuff, right? So, I mean, obviously I would want to add the dates and things like that, but that's pretty simple. And you can see I'm using this Cocoa Daisy stamp set. I absolutely love it. It's really fun to color in. It adds a lot of space. It's big. It's a bigger stamp set than I would ordinarily use up here. I do typically prefer something a little bit smaller, but I don't want to say I wanted it to stand out, but I wanted it to have a little bit more bulk to it since I just have that one really large decorative element. And then now I'm going to use one of my orange mild liners to color it in, all of those numbers. And so I'm just testing out to see which one I want to use, and I feel like it goes the best with the rub-ons that I've used. That's one of the things I like about these outline stamp sets is that they do allow for some additional creativity. Now you can obviously leave them as they are. You could stamp them on patterned paper. You can color them in. Just so many options that you can do for using these different types of stamps. And they're fun to do. You could use colored ink, just lots of different stuff. So I had a lot of fun coloring them in to make them coordinate with the overall layout, but obviously there are lots and lots of different ways to use these. Now let's add some journaling too. Journaling can be really detailed. It can be like a Dear Diary type of thing, but I typically in the memory planner use it as sort of just a rough overview, more about like feelings and the overall feeling of the week. And again, feeling, how many times do I need to say feeling? But you get what I mean. Like it was just very, very loose just to describe the week as a whole, which obviously can sometimes be difficult to do when there are a lot of different things going on that can be more complex than just like, oh, had a great week. Well, I mean, it can be definitely a little bit more than that. Now I'll go back and I will fill this in and just write my overview of the week on these lines. Sometimes I do use mild liners to make the lines, and sometimes I just use my pen. It really depends on what I want for the overall feel of the week. I really didn't want to compete with the embellishments that I already have because they do a stand-up job of really highlighting. So that's where I felt like I wanted to leave that just like that. So much fun though. And don't be miss how just changing things up ever so slightly really changes things, like changing the direction of your journaling or the pen you use. But yeah, sky's the limit. Thanks, guys, for stopping by and watching. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comment box below, and I will do my very best to get back to you. Thanks so much, and make it a great day.